Welcome, Mama. My name is Anya, and I create content for newbie Black moms who are losing themselves in motherhood, parent, partner, and prosper with purpose. Okay? Whether you're new to my channel or you're returning, I'm sending you massive love and gratitude for your support. And today's video, we're going to go ahead and talk about conscious parenting, right? So today I'm talking about conscious motherhood and my personal conscious motherhood journey and why I truly believe that conscious parenting is the next step in the evolution of our families and our communities and our society as a whole. So stay tuned. So first thing I want to talk about is why I actually chose to become a conscious mom or a conscious parent. And I always knew that having a child was a special moment and it's something that I really took seriously. And when I got pregnant, I really wanted to think about how I was going to raise my daughter. It's very easy to get into comparison of like what your parents did versus what you're doing, or what you think you should do. And sometimes we just kind of follow the same things out of ignorance, and not in a bad way, just that we don't know a different way or we haven't taken the time to research or do anything differently. And so for me, I just always felt, before I even had any answers or conclusive research or anything, I just always felt that there was something different and something better and that I wanted to try something new. And so I heard a little bit about conscious parenting. It always seems to be referred to as like gentle parenting, and I don't quite think that that's what it is. At least it's not how I define it. But basically, I wanted to demonstrate a parenting style that most reflected how I wanted my daughter to grow up, how I wanted her to actually interact with the world. Because I feel like a lot of times we treat parenting as, oh, the parents must dictate the lives of the child, or the parents must train the kids into submission or into a certain way of life because that's going to protect them. And at the core of my belief, I really believe that you're not always going to be there for your kids. And yes, I'm supposed to protect my child, and I have to give them the tools and the coping mechanisms and the strategies to be able to exist in this world with so many layers, so many different types of people, so many different situations that I can't control or predict. And to be able to do that in a way that actually leaves them feeling whole and complete. So for me, conscious parenting was a step in that direction. And I do believe that you don't just stop at the parenting style. You are also, as the parent, a part of the child's development, but really integrating the two. Okay, so what does conscious parenting look like to me? So I define conscious parenting, or being a conscious parent, as leading with love first and being intentional about establishing a strong emotional connection and presence that actually carries with the child, and while still learning to nurture and support your own growth as a parent. I believe that a lot of people become parents and they forget about themselves. That's pretty much the basis of my entire channel. Just because you're a parent, you are still you. You are still a woman. You still have desires and needs and goals and dreams, and you should still pursue those. And it's like, okay, how do we take this one role or this one aspect of our lives, which is motherhood, and integrate that into our entire life, and not just feel like this one identity has now become, or this one role has now become our entire identity, and therefore we can't step out or do anything differently. Like, I feel like we become moms and then we forget to grow, or we become moms and we forget that we're people. And it's kind of like this blend of the way that society portrays us and how moms come first, not woman first. And also just the way that we were raised, and just so many different layers to that. So anyway, back to specifically conscious parenting. I define it as having that intentional emotional connection with your child and being emotionally present. Not just being physically present, but being emotionally and not just being physically present in our lives, but also being emotionally present, so that we can actually give them the tools and the strengths and like the strategies, like I said before, to grow and develop. Some of the aspects of conscious parenting that I really lean into and that I really support in my own family's lives would be the self-awareness of the parent and how we decide to show up in our child's lives, what we are doing, being aware of the language that we use, the body language, the strategies, tools, and things that we are showing them, being aware of where it comes from within us. Because if we're not doing our own healing, if we're not doing our own inner work, if we're not doing our own due diligence to be intentional about the way that we show up and being aware of how we're showing up to them, we are reinforcing patterns in their lives that they're not going to understand. We're reinforcing things that we might not want them to actually take on, but just in the way that we're showing up for them, it's manifesting for them. It will manifest for them later on in life. Another thing, mindful communication. I truly believe that the way that you speak to your child directly impacts their own self-esteem. And being able to actually communicate with them in a way that makes them feel heard and seen and loved, because they are people. I feel like sometimes we kind of get into this habit of like talking to your child as if they're not a person or they're somehow dumber or less than because we're trying to get a point across. But I believe that children are way more intelligent than we give them credit for. And I am going to talk to my child the way that I want someone to talk to me. And obviously I'm not going to use the same exact language because they're not fully developed and they don't fully understand everything. But I can give simple statements and give some explanations as to why things are happening and communicate with them, because I believe that if you communicate with your child, they're going to want to communicate back versus me giving them directives and yelling at them. Not saying anything is good, wrong, right, or bad between anyone else's parenting styles. But for me, I just found that when I came from a place of force with my communication and just in my parenting styles in general, it caused my daughter to lean back. And I didn't want that. I wanted to have that open flow of communication. Even looking at my own childhood, something that I wish I had more of was more open communication within my family. And I see how that actually impacted how I communicate with other people and other relationships in my life. So mindful communication was really important to me to establish within a conscious parenting, as well as the emotional intelligence. Okay, so as well as the emotional intelligence, I choose to validate my child's feelings versus like bulldozing over them or ignoring them or dismissing them or punishing them for it, because emotions are normal. And I believe that if I can actually show her how to work through the emotions and how to process them, even at a toddler stage, that will be like a super strategy in her life, because most adults can't even process their emotions. They get like really angry really fast or really upset and you're just like, oh, I gotta hold it in. And funny story, my daughter is easily frustrated. I mean, she is a control freak. She wants things done her way, specifically her way. She has a space for every toy. She is so organized. It's insane. My daughter is 2. And we were playing with some kind of blocks that she has. So she had these blocks and, oh no, I'm spinning. Okay. Too much. Okay. I'm back. So she had these blocks and we were building them up and then they kept falling down. She wasn't stacking them in like the most foundational way. Anyway, every time they fell down, she would go and like throw them on the ground, knock them down. She would get so upset. And I'm like, baby, it's okay. Like, it's okay. And I would see her, like, she would get frustrated and her body would tense up. Like, she would ball her fist to her side. She'd go, like that. Like, she was going to explode. I was like, okay. I didn't want to tell her to calm down. That's like the only thing I could think of at the time. Like, just calm down. It's okay. She's not going to understand that. So when I started to pay attention to this becoming like a pattern, I realized that as much as we hate tantrums as parents, they're actually the way the child releases the tension in their body, releases the energy. Like, we have to let the energy flow The energy is going to go somewhere, or it's going to stay, get stuck and tight in our systems. So when they throw the tantrums, it's them releasing the frustration, releasing the anger, releasing the sadness, whatever this is going on. And for this particular instance, she couldn't do that. Like, it wasn't enough to make her cry and throw a tantrum, but it wasn't enough for her to like let it go. So I was like, you know what I want you to do, baby? I just put my you know, I want you to do, I was like, okay, so you know what I want you to do, baby? I want you to shake it out. And she looked at me. I was like, okay. Every time they fell down, I was like, shake it out, just shake it out, just shake it out, just shake it out. And the first time I did it, she just looked at me crazy, like, okay. And now it's to the point where she's able to recognize, oh, I'm upset. And if the blocks fall down, or the balls don't go where she wants to, or anything happens, then she just shakes her head. And then she's like, oh, and I said, just try again. Just try again. I'm spinning again. Oh my goodness. So anyway, the point of this was just to say, like, I'm teaching emotional intelligence and being able to handle her emotions through conscious parenting. The next one, we talked about this a little bit, but I definitely believe overall in empowering your child versus controlling them. I think controlling gets you to a certain point. Because again, we can't control every aspect of their lives. We are not able to predict every situation. And once you get to a certain point or age in the child's development, they're going to want to push back. They're going to want to test how much control they have or what boundaries they can push. And at 2, she's doing that. She's trying it out. But I want to empower her to actually learn and figure things out on her own, so that later on she can actually have some autonomy, she can grow, she can have self-trust. She's not looking to me to give her the answers because I've controlled or manipulated every situation or told her what to do. I'm giving her the empowerment now to actually succeed later. Like, for me, that's the basis of conscious parenting. Being so aware and present of how you show up with them, for them, to them, by them. Like, when you show up, and it is exhausting. Okay, I'm gonna let you know right now, it takes a lot more effort to think about and reflect on every single thing you've done, said, did, wished, hoped when you were a kid, because you know that every single thing that you're doing, they're absorbing. Like, for the first 7 years of their development, they're actually absorbing, and they're in this hypnotic state so that they can learn faster and easier, and they're learning from you. And you know how people always say, do as I say, not what I do? Kids don't understand that. They're doing what you're doing, whether that you think you are seen or not. Like, they see you. And I just want to make sure, as much as I possibly can, again, I'm not perfect and I mess up sometimes, but she sees me being intentional. She sees me trying. She sees me showing her that she's still a valued member of the society. She's still a valued member of my family. She's not just something that I have to control or take care of. She is my family. And I would treat her the same way I would give love to my mother or to my grandmother or to my partner. Like, you're still here and you were seen and you were loved. So that's like the basis of how I choose to do conscious parenting, or how I choose to represent conscious parenting. Ultimately, my goal is to break the generational cycles and patterns that have been passed down that are no longer serving our families. Choosing to neglect your child, choosing to punish them rather than love them. Like, there's no shade to anyone who has parenting style similar to this. My parenting style is not right, better, good, wrong, and neither is anyone else's. I'm just saying I'm choosing to do something different. And with this different style, being so aware and present of what wasn't working, either in my life or my siblings' lives or in kids that you know in your family or your neighborhood, like taking all of that information in and saying, okay, how can I now choose to make the conscious decision to do something different? And I'm turning. Okay. It's amazing, y'all, because I've literally been to share for like 5 YouTube videos, and this is the day when I want to do this. Okay, I think we got it. Perfect. Okay. This style is different from like what I started before. Like, I was aware when I was pregnant that there could be something different. I wanted to do something different, and yet I didn't know what to do. So I found myself repeating some of the things that I experienced when I grew up. And I found myself copying the parenting styles that were like prevalent in my community, which would be, as I mentioned before, like the scene that I heard: you must keep your child quiet, they must be still and respectful. And not that any of these were bad. I just remember like it being to the extreme in my life. So for example, if I was in a room with a bunch of adults, I could sit still, read my book in a chair, wouldn't make no noise, and that's perfectly fine. Great. But when I was with other kids that were my age, I didn't know how to act. Like, I thought that I was years ahead of everybody else. And I mean, talking 4 and 5 years old. Like, I would be sitting there, legs crossed, in a chair, reading a book, looking up at them like, oh, what's wrong with them kids? Like, why are they having fun? You're not supposed to be having fun. Like, I didn't know how to relax because I was so wound up so tight. Like, yeah. My mom has raised an amazing human. Shout out to Mom. I was not a very good kid. I didn't know how to play. And so just looking back on that, I can understand, okay, for Cameron, I want her to be able to be respectful in public and be able to be quiet when adults are talking and be able to sit in a little area by herself for a second while I'm having a conversation, anything like that. But on the flip side, I also want her to be able to be around other kids and enjoy it and be able to run around and know like there's a time and place for everything, and be conscious about, okay, establishing the rules and the situations in which this is appropriate and this is appropriate versus saying this is one structure and this is one way of life and this is how it's going to be. Does that make sense? Another example, I think I've touched on this already, but my daughter is very strong-willed. Strong personality, fierce individual. I love it. I want to embrace that. I want to foster and nurture that because I feel like that's going to keep her going very far in life when I'm not around. And to that, instead of me trying to more so control it, like I probably would have done without the knowledge of conscious parenting, I am now choosing to parent with it, if that makes sense. So understand that she is strong-willed. She wants to do things in her way, and sometimes she believes she's the boss. Mommy's the boss, and mommy will always be the boss, even when daddy's around. Anyway, but to get her to understand that I get the final say. So I might give her choices and options on things that really don't matter, because as a toddler, they're looking for control. They're looking to feel important. They're looking to feel like they have a voice because now they're suddenly talking and they're walking, and now they got so much more freedom than when they were sitting in a crib and looking at you drooling, you know? So I try to embrace that and say, okay, baby, well, what do you want to do? Do you want to eat this for dinner or do you want to eat this for dinner? Either way, you're going to eat what mommy wants. Very few things that she just get like an open selection on, like, which book do you want to read tonight? Then she'll go to the bookshelf and she'll go pick that up. Letting her feel like, oh, she's independent, making her feel like she's important, she's independent, and she still has options. That's really important for me. And not like I'm dictating or controlling everything, okay? So that's really helped me, and I feel like it's really helped me in her relationship because she wants to do more. She wants to take on more. She wants to help all the time, even when it's a lot faster for me to do it myself. She'll take the trash and go put it in the trash. She'll pick up things off the floor that she sees as lint and she'll be like, trash. I'm like, yeah, let's go put it in the trash. You know, she wants to help mommy. And I think that by giving her more options and giving her a little bit more freedom in certain areas, it lets her see that, oh, I can do things too. I want to do things too. Like, I want to work with mommy. By the way, I would love to hear from you guys. So, question, do you consider yourself a conscious parent? Or is this like a completely new topic for you? Either way, drop it in the comments below because I would love to hear about it. So I've already mentioned some of the ways that this has impacted my daughter, and I really just want to kind of touch on how it impacted me. I think that by not choosing to follow everyone else's standards, everyone else's idea of parenting, everyone else's styles, It caused me to really lean into myself and trust more as a mom. Like, you have different kids. I only have one, okay? I ain't ready for another one just yet. Not yet. But kids are all different. And I really think it's interesting how we try to apply one version of parenting styles to all of our kids, or to a lot of kids in general, whether it's discipline, whether it's like free range, they do what they want, or, it's like tough love. Like, I don't know, like, your parenting styles can evolve, they can change. And I feel like sometimes we don't give ourselves permission to actually evolve with them or evolve with the children, because what one child may need in one season is not what they may need in another season. I feel like this idea of conscious parenting is so broad, yet so specific. And I don't know if that doesn't make any sense. So, like, it's broad in the sense that there are no rigid guidelines. There's no one telling you to do this, and this. But it's more so you being conscious of your own actions, being intentional about how you show up, being intentional about your emotional connection, being intentional about your presence in your child's life. And the variations of that change as the child develops. Like, I am more present, or I feel like I'm more present now because she's a toddler, because she wants to do things more than when she was a baby. Because when she was a baby, like, she napped most of the time, like, to be honest. So now we're more present. Now I have to adjust how I parent, what I do with her, because she requires more. And then as she gets older and she's more independent, or she goes to school, or we figure different things out in different stages, it may require more or less of me, or again, something different. I think that with the conscious parenting, it allows me to adjust as needed, yet still holding on to those core values that make me feel good as a mom, that make me feel good as a person. Because quite honestly, I wouldn't want anyone hitting me. I wouldn't want anyone arguing with me or yelling at me or controlling my life. And so I think, why would anyone want to do that to their kids? Especially if you come from a household that's already perpetuated that kind of behaviors, or that's normal, or where that's the dominant parenting style. Because if you didn't like it as a child, or you saw someone who went through something similar and you saw they didn't like it, why would you then go and repeat it? I recommend conscious parenting to other parents because you have the option, you have the choice. As always, conscious decisions start with conscious choices. Conscious choices are just you choosing to do something in the moment that is different, and that's the best decision that you can make at the time with the information that you have, knowing the outcome. Like, I envision a certain lifestyle for my daughter. I envision a certain life for her. And I know that what I have in my head is not probably how she's gonna turn out. But with that in mind, I can do the best that I can to guide her in that direction. And I feel that conscious parenting gives me the space and the flexibility to do so. Which is why I do recommend it to other parents. And again, not that other parenting styles are good, right, wrong, bad, easier, better, none of that. These are just different. These are just options. The more options you have, the more you can say, okay, well, this may work, but this may not. I like this, I don't like this. So you get to pick and choose versus feeling like you're locked into one thing. You're not. And I think that's so important for just parenting in general, knowing that you have options and that you have more control over your life and your child's life than you think. We get stuck in the overarching system of society and the overall dream that society has painted for us, and what things should look like, and what things should be done, and how things should be done. And I don't subscribe to that. I am leaning more so into the village-based parenting styles and the community-based parenting styles, where I can say, oh, I have a team. I have support. I have people around me who love my child. I have people who can step in areas where I can't fulfill, or I'm not sure. And that with the information that I do know, I can choose to do something different. I can choose to be there and show up for her in a way that maybe my family didn't have the capacity to do. Not because they didn't love me, they didn't do their best, not because they're not amazing people, but maybe because they just didn't have the information at the time when I was growing up. What if every mother took that on? What if every father took that perspective on? There's no need to blame your parents. There's no need to be upset. How they parented you was the best that they could with the situation that they had, with given the tools that they had, the knowledge and all the things. But now you have a choice and a responsibility to do something different, because these are your children. And you get to decide to make the conscious decision to do something different about it, or not. But I believe once you make that conscious decision to go one way or the other, that's you taking responsibility. That's you choosing the direction for the next 18 years of your child's life, if not greater, because they're going to hold on to everything that we've done. They're going to blame us for it later. They're going to talk about it later. They're going to remember it. We may not, but they will. And you have to own up to it. Once you make that decision, once you make the choice, you got to own up to it. And so, not that I'm telling you to be a conscious parent, not that I am pushing you in any way or direction to choose any kind of parenting style. I'm just saying what works well for me and my family. With that being in mind, I do believe that there are a lot of advantages and a lot of growth and healing, not only for the child, but for the parent, that comes with this style of parenting, that comes with conscious parenting. So with all that being said, mamas, if this video resonated with you, please share it with another mama who needs to hear this message. And if you're on this journey with me, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel so that you do not miss any of my upcoming content about navigating motherhood with purpose. And until next time, I'm sending you so much love and support, mama, because you deserve it. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.